Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the Nation, Jeff Waldorf here with you today. Got a great show for you guys today on this Friday afternoon. Hopefully things are sounding and looking a lot better. Going through the videos yesterday and editing them and all that stuff, I was like, man, that forehead glare is killer. I was like a goddamn lighthouse. You could have landed planes with that light in the middle of the dark. So I had to adjust that. So hopefully it looks a lot better. Still on the loaner backup computer. So not normal, but you know, everything I think should look pretty well. And work fairly the same as it did before. But anyway. Although I do notice that there will be technical video glitches now and then because of the camera that I'm using. But anyway, work with what you got, right? Anyway, got a great show. We're going to talk a lot about the MAGA bomber. Got a couple stories, including political affiliation, which shouldn't be a surprise to you. But also what shouldn't be a surprise to you is right-wingers saying, oh, no, he's not one of ours. Oh, no, he's a Democrat. Then we've got Trump's initial reaction to that. We'll talk about that as well. We also have some more evidence of some of the rhetoric Republicans are using to scare people in the midterms. We also have Sheldon Adelson giving money, more mega donors in politics. We got Steve Bannon holding a fail rally. That's awesome. And then we're going to talk about a green jobs plan and how popular progressive policy that is. So this is great. So it's a good day. It's Good Friday. So it's not Good Friday, but it's a Good Friday. And it's good because it's Friday. Not only that, but we also have a new game coming out, so I can't wait to play that afterwards. But good day all around. We caught the guy allegedly sending bombs, so that's fantastic. So now, hopefully, none of those, will like. If there still might be some in circulation, getting through, going to different places. But thankfully, I think the threat at this time is over, and that's a good thing. So, anyway, let's start out. Let's give you the news. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got him, we think. The MAGA bomber has been caught. Why do I say it's a MAGA bomber? Well, I'm going to explain that. But first, federal investigators officially have identified the suspect they claim has been targeting critics of President Donald Trump. In fact, earlier today it had been reported that Cory Booker received a couple, and not only that, but you also had CNN being sent a couple more of these suspicious packages, right? Now, let me give you the name here. His name is Cesar Sayoc, according to sources cited by an NY1 reporter. He is reportedly 56 years old. He's also reportedly a gigantic Trump fan, so very apparently conservative. Not only that, but also has a long criminal record. Now, Sayoc is a registered Republican. He's been arrested about 10 times, according to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, including once in 2002 for, unsurprisingly, making a bomb threat. So this isn't his first rodeo, but look, it's a little bit of a stretch going from making threats, which is terrible, don't do it, to actually making and sending those bombs. So, nonetheless, right, he had already been arrested for that before, with an intent. And by the way, Miami-Dade records obtained by Law and Crime show that he was sentenced to a year probation in 2002 for making a bomb threat, which is an intent to make a pipe bomb or some sort of explosive device. So now, his other arrests include several for larceny, including a shoplifting charge in West Palm Beach back in 2015. So he's got a pretty long criminal record. So this is somebody who, is not somebody who is law and order. Weird how he's a Trump fan, right? But look, Donald Trump himself doesn't exactly follow the law, doesn't exactly care about the law. But anyway, now, according to state corporate filings, SIAC has 2 registered businesses that are active within the state, including Native American Catering and Vending and Vertec AG. Now, the FBI, according to Law and Crime, previously announced that suspicious packages containing potentially destructive devices were addressed to former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, John Brennan, former Attorney General Eric Holder, George Soros, Representative Maxine Waters, actor Robert De Niro, former Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Cory Booker. Waters and Biden were actually sent 2 packages, according to the federal investigators, and another package sent to CNN was addressed to former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. So that is 12 devices. Boy, this guy's been busy. 12 devices. Thankfully, none of them exploded, so they're very crude devices. And of course, some of the speculation is, well, were they really meant to explode? Well, federal investigators are definitely treating them as if they were. Now, thankfully, this guy is now in custody, so I guess you can ask him, were they meant to harm? Were they meant to explode? Or did you just suck at making them? Now, another interesting thing is, and that's basically now makes sense, knowing that he was in Florida, that he was from Florida, is that the return addresses on these bombs, or these packages, were addressed to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Apparently, he didn't seem like he was a fan of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So, now federal investigators also have yet to offer an alleged motive. Well, look, they're not going to. They're going to be super careful, cautious, of course. But I think, to all of us, I think we've all figured out what the motive is. He wanted to, I should say, target Democrats. It's an obvious political motive. That's why I'm calling it terrorism. Fairly obvious to me, but then again, they've got to be like super cautious. Can't call it right-wing terrorism because I don't know why. But that's just what they're doing. But look, this guy, at least he is off the street now, and not making or sending any more of these packages to people. So, great work on that. By the way, he was found through DNA evidence, forensic evidence. So that's how they were able to trace the bombs back to this guy. So great work for, on the part of law enforcement for taking this guy off the street. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. So earlier today, news broke that the man who was been alleged to have been sending suspicious packages containing crude pipe bombs has been identified. The man named, his name is Cesar Sayak. Now, the 56-year-old was arrested Friday morning near a mail processing facility in Plantation, Florida. So he was from Florida, which makes sense because a lot of the return addresses were for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. There was some speculation of how does this guy know who Debbie Wasserman Schultz is if he's not in Florida? Well, he's in Florida, so yes, likely knew. Okay, so that answered that question, right? Now, here's the thing. All of his targets have been prominent critics of President Trump. Now, I want to show you his social media, because now, of course, whenever something like this happens, you go pry into their past. You look into their past for things that might be clues to to the reason why they might have done these, these attempted bombings. And so, look, first they looked at his criminal record. It's got a very long criminal record, including larceny, and of course in 2002, calling in bomb threats, doing bomb threats. So this doesn't seem to be like a new thing for this guy. But anyway, I'm going to show you his social media because right now investigators are saying, well, we don't know the motive. Well, and not only that, but Republicans themselves are saying, oh no, he must be like a Democrat. Well, I'm going to show you some things from his own social media that he posted up that might clear up what the motive is and settle whether or not he was a Democrat or a liberal plant, right? So, get some pictures here. Let's start out with this one. So, that's his van. I don't know, man. I can't tell if this man was a fan of President Donald Trump. I might have to see more evidence. Okay. Well, what about this? So this is him in his Twitter account. Okay. The Swamp. Well, you've got Eric Holder. You've got Debbie Wasserman Schultz over there. Obama. The Clintons. People from, media. Supposed liberal media. I always laugh when I say that. Okay. Look, hey, you know what? That's fair. That's fairly standard for Republican circles. To be fair, right? And look, I really wish the actual swamp would be drained. But it turns out, if you want to drain the swamp, you actually got to get rid of the money in politics. That ain't gonna happen. At least not without an amendment. But anyway, back to the pictures, right? So here's the next one. Conspiracy about George Soros. Of course. Oh, look, it's all the different things that George Soros funds. Okay. So there's, Soros stuff. So I guess that makes sense. There's more. Here we go. More anti-George Soros stuff. This time aimed at Democrat in Florida, Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum is running for the governor's race in Florida, the governor's seat in Florida, against Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, of course, a big Trump guy. So here we go. More anti-Soros conspiracies. Fun. Now, look, you could say, hey, Jeff, you didn't really address whether or not he's a Democrat. Because, look, there are people out there that don't like George Soros. I don't like George Soros. Now, I don't like George Soros because he's more establishment. He's pro-corporate because he runs a literal hedge fund. That's how he got rich. But more than that, he puts a lot of money in politics. So if you want to point out, hey, this guy funds a lot of things. Okay, yeah. You know what? I don't think his money should be in politics. I don't think anybody's money should be in politics. I don't want George Soros' money in politics. I don't want Tom Steyer's money in politics. I don't want the Koch brothers' money in politics. I don't want any money in politics. Get it all out. Because I think that gives whoever's giving that money a bigger voice than the American people. But see, that's why I'm not in favor of George Soros. That's why I'm not in favor of these billionaire donors. But that's not why they're against that. Oh, no, they love billionaire donors. They love the Koch brothers. They love Sheldon Adelson. The reason that they hate George Soros is because he's Jewish. Not only that, but of course, you give money to some liberal causes, things like MoveOn.org or whatever, or any foundation that espouses liberal causes. Oh, yeah, well, of course that's why they hate you. But anyway, now, again, going back to, okay, but how do you know he's a Trump fan? Well, I think this picture pretty much sets it up. Not Soros. Yeah. So that's him at a Trump rally saying, go Trump and Kanye. Oops. Now, look, for a lot of you watching, you might be like, yeah, dude, no shit. Well, okay, why are you even showing me this? Already, we know he's a Trump fan. Well, because there are already claims on the right that he is a left-wing Democrat. But wait a minute. Here's the thing. Why lie, right? That's my question. Why lie and say he's a, he's a left-winger when it's pretty fairly obvious that this man is a Trump person, that he's a registered Republican, that he is a member of the far right. And look, it's not as if he represents all Republicans. Anybody with a brain knows that, of course, that guy doesn't represent all Republicans. Just like, certain people don't represent all progressives or all Democrats, right? Or like the guy who, for example, shot Steve Scalise and the Republicans in the baseball league. He doesn't represent all Bernie Sanders supporters. He doesn't represent progressives. He doesn't represent Democrats. No, in fact, all the progressives and Democrats called that guy out and rightly so denounced him. We didn't say, oh, that guy's a right-winger. No. We said, look, this guy, we don't agree with him. What he did was absolutely wrong. He doesn't represent our ideology. And so Republicans, you can say the same thing without saying, okay, guy's a Democrat. Why lie, right? But here's the thing, right? It comes down to projection. So, look, there's Republicans out there. And I'm not saying all of them, but there's a lot of Republicans out there who think that Democrats are nothing but pure evil. And that only Democrats can be violent. For example, you had Rush Limbaugh the other day saying the same thing. Oh, no, Republicans would never do anything like this. This guy is a registered Republican. So, yes, they can do things like this. And more often than not, right now, the right wing is more violent in America. Now, look, to be honest, violence doesn't have an ideology, okay? Violence is violence, right? In the real world, anybody can be violent, and it's not limited to one political ideology or another. It just so happens that right now in America, the lion's share of political violence comes from the right. 71% of all terrorist attacks in America, just over the past year, are perpetrated by right-wing domestic terrorists. Now, that's weird because they're in charge. They have all the power. Why would they be doing these attacks? Well, it's because they've been emboldened. Not only that, for the last decade, 74% of all domestic terrorist attacks have been perpetrated by members of the far fringe right. 2% done by liberals. And, of course, 24% done by extremist Muslims. So, look, there are instances, yes, in the past where left-wing has definitely engaged in violence, right? State-sponsored violence and everything. But that's not true today. So all this, oh no, it's the left-wing that's violent, that is projection. Because right now they know that there are certain members of the right wing, the far right, that are urging violence. Gavin McInnes, by the way, member of the Proud Boys, far-right organization. They call themselves a gang. And he's out there saying Trump supporters should be more violent. Now, who's the ones calling for violence here? So, just saying. A lot of this is just projection from the far right. But that is who this guy really is. And so don't let any of these other publications tell you otherwise. Okay. Moving on. So earlier today, the MAGA bomber, as he's now being known, was identified as a registered Republican and a massive Trump supporter. Now, what does Donald Trump think about this? Well, during a young black leadership summit at the White House, Trump addressed the arrest of this alleged bomber in a very brief statement. Now, in it, reading from, of course, prepared remarks, the president insisted that all political violence was unacceptable. But also during that speech, he didn't reveal any sort of other information, like, for example, who this guy is, the fact that he's a big Trump supporter, nothing like that, right? Now, that's an interesting omission, to say the least. He then, of course, after took the time to attack the media, to the delight of some of his more ardent fans. I want to give you a video clip of that. Let's take a look.
This Marxist...
I get attacked. I get attacked. I think maybe more. Maybe more than anybody. I don't know. I can do the greatest thing for our country, and on the networks and on different things, it will show bad. They will take it back because fake news.
All right. So, oh no, I'm always attacked. I'm getting attacked. Well, maybe it's because you're doing a whole lot of things wrong. Like, if you were to actually do Medicare for all today, I'd give you credit. Maybe if you stop doing shitty things, you'll stop getting criticized. Although, if you did Medicare for all, the media that you care about, CNN and MSNBC, are still going to, they're going to call you they're going to say terrible things about you. So, I guess you can't win in some respects if you do actual progressive populist policy, which you're not going to actually do. So, yes, the media will continue to criticize you. If you can't handle that, sad. A sad day for you. But anyway, now, the important thing is not necessarily what Donald Trump said. It was what some of his supporters in the room had shouted. Now, this is a young black leadership summit, right? So these are black conservatives, which are incredibly rare. Now, they said, fake news, which you saw Donald Trump laugh, and then InfoWars. Wow. So, here's the thing, right? And the fake news charge. It's not fake news. There's literally somebody in custody. Literally, somebody there. And there is proof that he is not only a registered Republican, but also a Donald Trump fan. There are pictures of his van that are plastered in Donald Trump imagery and right-wing imagery, including CNN sucks and which, okay, whatever, CNN sucks. Yeah, I guess it does kind of suck, right? I criticize CNN quite a bit, but there's also more disturbing imagery like Hillary Clinton with crosshairs on her forehead. Now, I don't like Hillary Clinton. I'm not a fan of Hillary Clinton, but Jesus Christ, that is super, super wrong. And if you can't see that there's a problem with that, then I'm sorry, you're wrong. And I'm not sorry about that, actually. But look, there's DNA evidence that literally linked them to the bombs, but they don't care. They don't give a crap. And neither does Donald Trump. Now, I can guarantee you, right, that if we had President Bernie Sanders, whisper of a dream, right? Help us, Bernie Sanders, you're our only hope. Or, okay, more realistically, go back to Obama, right? If something like this happened during Obama's watch. If an Obama fan sent a bunch of bombs to Republicans and was identified and arrested, Obama would have come out there immediately and said, this is what happened. I absolutely 100% condemn it. And furthermore, any of my followers who would even consider doing something like this, don't do it. Don't do it. It's absolutely wrong. As would Bernie Sanders. As I hope anyone would, right? And I think, to be honest with you, most Republicans would do the same thing. Would come out and say, oh, absolutely, that's wrong. Don't do that. That is not somebody who shares my ideology. Well, but not Trump, man. Not Trump. He just laughs when they say fake news. Oh, he said fake news. That guy over there said fake news. It is so right. It is all fake news. He doesn't correct them. Now, why is that important? Why am I harping on that point? It's because he's the president. He sets the tone. The fish rots from the head down. And that's why it's so important. He sets the tone of the conversation. Again, this guy, he's got the bully pulpit, right? And he's got, look, he can not really control a narrative, but he can set the narrative, he can set the tone by saying, okay, this is absolutely wrong. Instead, he did read from a prepared statement because they're like, hey, jackass, read this statement. Don't say anything off the cuff. So he didn't. But again, laughs at the fake news, and then when he does go off the cuff, it's all about him. Oh, I'm such a victim here. I'm the victim here because I get attacked in the media. Man, you know, they talk about Trump being president, which is ridiculous, right? Presidential. If he were even a quarter presidential, he would say, no, you know what? You're wrong. This is not fake news. This happened. It's terrible. This isn't who I want as a follower. I 100% discourage this, disown this guy. I don't know if that's the right term for it. But I don't want someone who does this kind of stuff as my followers. So let's not do this. Let's be bigger people. Now, will they do that? No. Because he just laughs at people saying fake news and then InfoWars. And here's the thing. We already know Donald Trump loves conspiracy theories. InfoWars, right? Especially when those conspiracy theories help him, like the birthers, right? So, unfortunately, again, he's going to set that tone and say, oh, conspiracies, I jump into it. And not only, look, he already did before this guy was found. He started blaming the victims, just like the rest of Fox News, just like those in the rest of the far right. And so he's going to say, it's okay to believe that. It's okay to go out there and believe the conspiracy theories to spread that it's a false flag and, oh, that this guy's actually a Democrat and whatever. Because, sadly, there's a large chunk of Republicans and people who follow Trump that no longer live in the reality-based world. And I don't know how you deal with that, with a segment of the population that no longer believes in facts. And it's an incredibly scary time because you never know what kind of stuff they'll make up next. Okay. All right. So with that, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We get some video for you guys, including some rhetoric from the far right that is troubling. So heading on to our theme of the day, we'll be back after this break. Please, if you have super chats or anything like that or messages, please use that and help out the show. And we'll be right back. Around the Nation. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Around the Nation right here, Jeff Waldorf here with you. Okay, so we have some more information that is breaking news on the MAGA bomber story. According to the Washington Post, Mr. Sayak has been charged with 5 different federal crimes. Okay. So let me read this, like I said, from the Washington Post here. A man in Florida with lengthy criminal record was arrested and charged Friday. Of course, we read that already. It turns out they found another device that brings it up to 13. Now, let's see. The suspect identified as 50-year-old Caesar Sayak. He was charged with transporting explosives across state lines, illegally mailing explosives, threatening former presidents and others, threatening interstate communications, and assaulting federal officers. According to charging documents, he now faces up to 58 years in prison. So, now look, they found him with a lot of forensic evidence. Apparently, this guy is not very bright. For one, a lot of the misspellings, according to certain documents that they found, matched the misspellings on some of the devices. Not only that, but he left fingerprints and, of course, other DNA evidence. So, not a very bright person and not very good at this, thankfully, because if he were better, then somebody actually would have gotten hurt. So, there's your update, and I'm sure we'll be getting a lot more updates as the story unfolds. But for now, let's go back into the rest of the stories here. First, I do have a super chat that I want to read. Mark Ortiz asks, Fox News will say packages were sent from the caravan. Yeah, we'll see. So, we'll see what happens. I honestly don't know. I'm very interested in what they're going to eventually say. But we already know what Breitbart is saying. Democrats. It's all the Democrats. I'll probably look that up right now. Show you guys, or at least tell you guys, Breitbart. My phone feels dirty after going there. Not yet. Not yet. They're reporting on it, but nothing about his affiliation. Oh, good. POTUS praises quick arrest, etc. Okay. Anyway, I just had to check that. All right. Next story. So the topic of violent rhetoric has become a national conversation, thanks to both Donald Trump and the so-called MAGA bomber that has been sending devices to prominent Democrats all over the country. Now, many on the right, including President Trump, basically want you to believe that it's leftist rhetoric that is causing violence here. Now, some of that example is Maxine Waters, when she said to go and challenge Republicans even when they're eating in restaurants. Now, none of that's actually violent. There's also Eric Holder. Now, Eric Holder said, oh, when they go low, we kick them. Now, that was not a literal sense. It was a figurative sense. And later on, he said, look, that's not actually calling for violence. I'm saying in not a literal sense. I meant politically. And so, we're talking about, yes, beating somebody at the polls, crushing them. Not literally, but figuratively, right? But anyway, in reality, the rhetoric that we hear from the fringe right is actually incredibly violent. And not only that, but could actually lead to other violence, as in the case of the person that was sending out bombs. Now, I have a good example of some of this rhetoric. Recently, Rick Wiles, host of True News, is trying to scare his audience into, not only voting, which, look, that's kind of what they do on the right, is that they scare people as a way to motivate them to get out to vote. I can understand that. But here's what they're saying about the Democrats, about the left. They think that the Democrats, he's saying that the Democrats are going to do terrible things, and that's why you need to get out. Terrible in what way? Is it policy-wise? Well, let me show you the video, and we'll find out.
This Marxist communist anti-Christ revolution that is in full bloom in the United States of America. Folks, make no mistake about it. This thing is anti-Christian.
Yes.
They hate God. These people are against God. These people love to abort babies. They love to promote sexual immorality. Everything that drives them is in opposition to God and his moral laws. That is the centerpiece of their agenda.
They see God as the problem.
Yes. They see God as the problem.
Okay. So, look, so far, insanity, right? None of that's true. There's a lot of Democrats that are Christians. In fact, the majority of America is still Christian. So that's insanity. As for people like me, well, I'm a godless atheist, right? Oh, you hate God. I can't really hate something that doesn't exist that I don't believe in. So, no, what I do hate is when religion is in government, and conversely, when government is in religion. I don't want either. That's why we need a wall of separation to protect both from the other. Because we've seen what happens when both happen, right? So I guess that's really more standard, right? But they're saying to a lot of the religious folks, because that's who his audience is, oh, the Democrats are going to take away your religion. They get into power, the godless communist Democrats, they're going to come in and they're going to take away your religion, right? And not only that, but abortion, immorality, get out and vote. But it actually gets worse. Here's where Wiles starts really going off the rails.
Listen to me. Every nation that has been taken over by Marxist communists, they immediately kill the pastors. They immediately kill Christians. They immediately burn the churches. Why? Because the cross is their enemy. Do not be fooled by what's happening in America. The people, these anarchists in America, their enemy is not the Republican Party. Their enemy isn't corporations. Their enemy is the church. They're coming against the church.
Yes.
And I've been warning people for years and years and years. You better get ready. You better be prepared. If these people ever get power, they're going to slaughter tens of thousands of pastors, tens of thousands of Christians. They will spill blood in America. That is their purpose. That is their objective.
Wow. So look, hey, that's a lot of crazy. But this guy has a lot of followers, right? And what he's saying is, get prepared. Get prepared. Now you can say, oh, well, just get prepared to go out and vote. Keep them from getting into power. Keep the communists from getting into power. Which is, again, we're having this conversation that is absurd, right? And, okay, that's one way you could take it. The other way is, get prepared, get your guns. Because the communists are coming. And by communists, he means Democrats, which is utterly absurd. The Democrats of today, look, Democrats have never been communists, for one. But that's even more so true today. The Democratic Party is corporatist. And the politician in America that is considered to be the most far-left politician here in America, Senator Bernie Sanders, right? Senator Bernie Sanders, in Europe, he would be considered a centrist. And policies that he espouses and that the Democratic Party is actually starting to pick up. For example, Medicare for all, right? That is the centrist position. Things like free college in a lot of countries. That's the centrist position. Both parties, or I should say, because there are more than two parties in a lot of these countries. They're parliamentary systems. A lot of the main parties run on protecting these very things. So, look, it's absurd. But you see the aim here, right? The communists are coming, and the Democrats. And they're not only are the communists coming, they're going to kill the Christians. They're going to murder the Christians. So get ready for it. That is an incitement. That right there definitely feels like an incitement. And gee, I don't understand after watching that why somebody would send a Democratic politician a bomb. I don't know why people are attacking Trump critics. I don't know why people are attacking prominent Democrats. Weird. I don't understand why. No, that's why. That kind of rhetoric. And people will listen to that. Certain people will listen to that and go, oh my God, I got to protect myself from the communists. Because they're coming to kill God. They're coming to kill all the pastors and all the religious people. No, that's horrible. And I would be against anybody who is actually trying to do that. As would a majority of the American people. As would 99.9% of the Democratic Party. Insanity, right? This is fundamentalism. It's this kind of insane fear-mongering from people like Rick Wiles that has created the situation of today, why it is so toxic. You want to sit there and blame, oh, it's the left wing, mobs. We're out here saying, hey, maybe you know what? Maybe we should actually do something about the cost of college and the cost of healthcare because it's too expensive. Communists, you want to murder us all? No, we don't. That's not something. And it's amazing how there are people out there that can turn an ideology that says, hey, you know what? We should care about our fellow Americans and our fellow people, and use our collective money to try and fix some of the problems in America so that we can all have health care and shit. It's amazing that people can turn that around and to say you want to murder everybody. It's crazy. But again, right-wing fear-mongering. This is what you get. So it's not a surprise that people are so in their own universe. Okay. Let's move on. It's a depressing day, sort of. So conservative mega donors are dropping a lot of money into the midterm elections. It's being reported that mega donors Sheldon Adelson and Miriam Adelson have now donated more than $100 million to Republicans in the midterm election. Now, that actually outpaces their spending during the 2016 presidential cycle. Now, they spent about $82.6 million. Now they've spent about $113 million, according to Bloomberg. Now, look, that is a lot of money in politics. And the reason that I'm telling you that is because of how much influence that actually buys. So one of the things, and we've been talking about this since, for example, Soros was targeted by the MAGA bomber. So Soros gives a lot of money to Democrats and Democratic politicians and Democratic, or I should say liberal groups. So he's demonized for giving that money. And look, I'm not in favor of that. I don't think his money should be in politics. But here you have Adelson and some of these other right-wing billionaires, the Koch brothers, also giving gigantic sums of money to Republican politicians in midterm elections. Anybody going to demonize that? Well, not from the right. Here's the thing. Look, all this money in politics does is that it fuels more division, right? What do you think that these politicians do, like, think about, or I should say, what do you think when these donors think about when they give these money, these amounts of money to politicians? They're thinking, we want to buy them for policy, and that's what this is. So now some of this money, of course, is going to Ted Cruz, for example, in his race against Beto O'Rourke, because Democrats have actually been raising a lot of money from small dollar donors. Now, small dollar donors, of course, have been fueling a lot of Democratic politicians. And with that, I mean, on the other side, on the flip side, here you have more money coming in from large Republican donors. And they're trying desperately to hold on to the House and the Senate as well. So they're afraid. They're looking at the possibility of losing the House and saying, oh shit, we need to hold on to Republican control. Why? And it's because they want more tax cuts. That's what they got from Donald Trump. That's what they got from the Congress, the current makeup of the Congress. If it flips to Democratic control, well, look, it's very, very hard to raise taxes, but they're not going to get another tax cut. So that's why they're pumping so much money into the system. And here's the thing. I don't want any money in politics. We've got to get rid of this toxic influence of money in politics. We've got to get rid of it. We need to pass an amendment, because if we don't, we're going to continue to have people like Adelson, the Koch brothers, George Soros on the left side, give so much money to these politicians. And who do they work for when when they get this money? Well, they work for their donors. So we've got to get that money out of politics. We've got to do it soon. Okay. Just thought I would remind you guys to get the money out of politics. Very important. All right. Sloppy Steve has returned. Steve Bannon. And he attempted to hold a rally. It didn't work out well. Now, Bannon, according to The Guardian, recently appeared in front of 200 people at a firehouse outside Buffalo, New York. Why was he there? What was he doing? Well, apparently he was trying to campaign for Republicans. Now, 200 people, okay, I guess it's not too bad. Now, he was there, of course, as I said, to try to rally for Republicans. Well, how did that go? Not very well, because nobody showed up. Now, on Monday, Bannon earlier drew a crowd of just 38 people in an event in Staten Island. So it's kind of sad. Bannon had originally been slated to appear with David DePetrio, running for re-election in New York State Assembly. But after the first venue pulled out, so did DiPietro. The first venue, of course, canceled due to threats of violence. Now, I'm not sure how credible that is, but if true, kind of shows you how deeply unpopular Bannon is. Because it's not just the left that doesn't like Bannon, it's actually pro-Trump conservatives. Now, why would that be? Because Bannon was fired for criticizing Don Jr. for meeting with Russian operatives in Trump Tower. So he said it was treasonous. So maybe those threats could have come from the right. I don't know. But anyway, a couple hours before the event, Michael Caputo, conservative strategist organizer for the Bannon event, and DiPetrio's campaign manager said, well, he might actually show up. Well, it turns out he did not. So what kind of campaign advisor doesn't know if your candidate's going to show up to an event? That's weird. But here's where it gets really sad. Caputo said he'd invited all Republicans running for office in the Western New York area, but had not received a single reply. Caputo at the time said, quote, it might be no one. And it turns out it was no one. So 200 people on Wednesday, and 38 people on Monday, but no Republican candidates. None. But wait a minute, I thought Bannon was a kingmaker. Bannon said, oh, I'm going to help get all these Republicans elected. Well, what happened? What happened? Not even Chris Collins showed up. He's right in the area. Oh, that's pathetic. What's even more pathetic is that even though he got unceremoniously kicked out of the Trump cabinet, part of his speech was telling people how good Trump is. Oh, he's so good on the numbers, on the jobs. He's so good on the border. What he did with Korea was so fantastic. You know what? I helped him a lot with that. Oh, that's sad. That's super, super sad. How the mighty have fallen. Look, again, not long ago, he had actual power. Breitbart was a powerhouse. It was considered the home of the alt-right. And yet, now he can hardly get a couple hundred people. This is while Bernie Sanders is traveling the country. Bernie Sanders is getting crowds of 1,400 to 2,000 people at these different campaign stops. And he's campaigning for other Democrats. He's not even campaigning for himself. This is for other Democrats. And he's getting tons more people than Bannon ever could. People ain't interested in the alt-right anymore. People aren't interested in Bannon. Kind of sad to see how it happened. Okay. I'm thinking I'm going to save this poll for next week. So, because that's going to take a long time to break down. So, here's what I'm going to do. I got to head out. So, I want to read a super chat here before I go. Platify says, more money in super chats, less money in politics. Well, I mean, I'll take one or the other. I'd rather take, of course, less money in politics, but I'll take the super chat money too. So thank you for that. Thank you, Platypi and Mark Ortiz, for using the super chat and helping out the show. You guys are awesome. So thank you. I appreciate that quite a bit. I appreciate you guys tuning into the show as always. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like and share the stream. And please check out our videos as well. Helps out a lot. All right, guys. Thank you all. You have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, TYT Nation. We'll see you all tomorrow. Or, I'm sorry. Not tomorrow. Monday. Jeez.